So, welcome everyone to the Gen Z Voices podcast. For those of you who are following us already, you know that this is a platform where we invite early career professionals to share their perspectives about current work and the future of work. And the format is that we ask the same 5 questions to all of our guests. And today I'm just thrilled to invite Morgan to our podcast. She's calling us in from Nova Scotia, Canada today. Morgan, very warm welcome. Thrilled to have you on the show.
Yeah, likewise. I'm Morgan. I am a communications professional who works at Shift Key Labs, which is based out of Dalhousie University. And we help students kind of upskill in tech and help them get careers in tech. So I graduated about 2 years ago from the same university. And right now I also help, in the future of tech also get careers, which is very fulfilling.
Wow, sounds like you're on the leading edge of a number of different sectors there, Morgan. So my first question is I want to ask you, what's one thing about today's work culture that doesn't sit well with your values, doesn't quite feel right for you?
I would say that, it's hard to find a job at the moment. That's what doesn't really like kind of sit well with me, is that just getting into the careers you want to is just very difficult. There's a lot of like kind of ghost postings. There's
Mm,
employers not getting back to you. And so that can be really difficult and something that I wish would change, that I know in like the past generations had a lot easier. Um,
mm. Yeah, so that availability of jobs and postings that aren't actually real postings must be very frustrating.
yeah.
And so with that in mind, if you could redesign one part of how companies work today, it could be onboard, it could be recruiting, or it could be, development, anything you like, what would you change first and why?
I think that I would change kind of the experience section of a lot of job postings for recruiting, because the experience section, at least in Canada, has a lot of like you need like 3 to 5 years of work experience. And for people coming out of university, that is very hard to get. Even if you do like co-ops or work terms or internships, that is super hard to get because you're just started out in your career.
Hmm.
So that's just something I would change. I would kind of remove that and, you know, kind of focus on people's work experiences and projects they've done, and also their education as well.
Hmm. Hmm. And switching gears a little bit, how do you decide whether to trust someone at work?
I think I decided to trust somebody when they kind of understand my motivations and are not afraid to kind of reach out for help, and also allow me to feel like comfortable reaching out to help for them. Um, and just that like similar like kind of like set of values that I have. So like, like as I said, like accessibility is really important, like reaching out to
Hmm.
help. Similar goals, also just talking as well. That really, really helps me just feel comfortable and allowed to trust people.
Mhm, mhm. So it sounds like there's a sort of reciprocity there. You want to be able to reach out to them in a safe environment without fear of judgment. And at the same time, you want them to do the same for you. Did I hear that right?
Exactly, yes.
Mhm, mhm. And what kind of leadership do you wish you saw more of in the world today?
Um, I I wish that there was more younger leadership, I would say, if that makes sense. I see a lot of leaders and advocates who are amazing, but
Mhm,
who are, a lot older than me, who are either like older millennials or older Gen X and who don't really understand the issues that Gen Z are facing at all. Um, and so I wish we had more leaders who were kind of like maybe in their early 20s or mid 20s and really
Hmm.
understand what a lot of us are going through in terms of finding work and in
Yeah.
terms of just finding good places to work as well. And
Hmm.
I see some people um as well as social media who are like around my age, but it's very hard to find, the people who are around my age who are leaders, um,
Hmm.
like kind of, I guess, quote unquote in the wild. I
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
we have like more of those voices, yeah. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. Very interesting. And I think I'd be curious to ask you a follow-up, which is um, how do you see those younger leaders being different? You made comment that they think different or value things different or do things differently. Give us a couple of examples of what that looks like to you.
well, first off, understanding the social media kind of space, I
Hmm.
think that is something very important that a lot of these leaders do. I follow a lot of like advocates from the US because that's where I'm originally from. And a lot of them utilize social media for advocacy and also just trying to get people's experiences. And that's what I think a lot of employers struggle with, that are a lot older, is how to use social media. So
Hmm.
that's something that I see a lot of. And then
Yeah.
also kind of more having more understanding of hybrid work, especially because most of my generation grew up around COVID. Either we were like just out of college, in college,
Right.
or
Hmm.
younger in like secondary school. And so like hybrid work is something that we grew up with, and a lot of work doesn't require you to be in the office.
Yeah.
And kind of like understanding the need for hybrid work, especially for people who are, you know, disabled, who might have like other commitments, um, that, you know, just make it easier for them to work at home. And that's
Hmm.
I also see.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. Those are great, great. Brings to life a little bit your comment on that point. And then my final question is, in what ways do you think a company should invest in your growth?
Um, I think that, they should understand that, especially with the rise of just the saturation of the job market, in Canada, that people have different experiences, that there's not going to be one unique fit.
Hmm.
Um, I wish that they would understand that better. Um, I really think that with that understanding, they could help a lot of my generation grow into their own, because they kind of will have this base of understanding that um, there's so many different experiences that everybody could bring something to the table. And yeah.
Hmm. So, you talked about earlier about the job description being 3 to 5 years, and so that would be an example of that. In your current role, what do you wish you could learn, or how you could grow or evolve?
Um, I think like so with my role, like we're a nonprofit based in the Faculty of Computer Science, but we're kind of kind of like as separate from them.
Hmm.
It's kind of a very complicated relationship, but we're in the building. And I honestly wish that there was like kind of like more understanding with my like older coworkers who are in like the faculty and staff role, because they're a lot older than us, than me. And so they don't really understand experiences that my, generation
Hmm.
has.
Hmm.
And a lot of my generation are students who are there and who are studying there and who I work with daily. And so I wish that, as I mentioned before, I like kind of understand that everybody has different experiences. I also think that can be applied to understand that everybody has a different way of learning, and sort of just like kind of like basing that understanding, um, and kind of like realizing that everybody needs different accommodations to learn as well.
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
think that there's been, especially what I have seen, where I've lived, kind of like more work towards that, but I think a lot more needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Morgan, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives on our 5 questions. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close today?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.